Yo, what is going on YouTube? This is your boy Kamen Zero Spike back again once again. And today, people, we're here for the final episode, Kamen Rider Geats episode 49. And that was a lot of Rider series end on like in 40, 48, 49. You know, not a lot of us hit 50. But hey, that's neither here nor there, man. This episode was the big conclusion to everything. Everybody's happy, big happy ending for everyone. And we also got a little sneak peek at Gachard. Get to see him, and he's chasing the Hopper card, but we'll get to that. We'll get to that. But in this episode, we get to see that Sumini is staring at she's like visiting a shrine made for Geats, and we also see Jin is also there with her, and it's like this is like a little peek into the future. It's like the aftermath of everything. But we go back to where Sumini ended up shooting Ace. It turns out it was the real Sumini, but she was possessed by Black Sumini. She was possessed by her, and she told her that, hey, me and you are the same person. Whatever I wish is also your wish as well. So she ends up leaving, and she ends up leaving with Zuo after he ends up destroying, I guess, a piece of the audience that followed him. He had like a little eye, and he ended up destroying it. So he ends up, her and Zuo end up leaving, and then that's when Sumini is crying over Geats' body when his spirit comes and speaks with her, and he said that he actually prepared for this, and he ended up, going to the afterlife. He ended up leaving there and leaving her there. So we end up seeing that Zuo has kind of started kept the game going and things like that, and we get all our characters who are getting ready to go fight Zuo after they end up meeting up, and they end up battling Zuo. Well, getting ready to battle Zuo. We see that the first people to get taken down, well, they end up fighting him in the warehouse, because all fights have to end in the warehouse, and we see that K-Watt and Neon, they end up fighting him while in their ultimate forms, and they're getting their butts kicked. And we see that that's when Buffer himself runs in his he's in like his ultimate like form he had, where he was like invincible and stuff. He had the cape and things like that, and he's fighting them as well, and they're fighting and stuff like that. And he ends up using reverse. He has like a reverse ability, kind of like how Kamen Rider Chronos had from X8, where he can pause and resume and stuff like that. We see that Zuo can like reverse stuff, so he ends up reversing time around them. He reverses time all around them, and when he reverses it, he reverses them all the way back to the point where they weren't riders at all. And when he reverses them, they don't have their powers now, and he gets ready to end up taking them out. And that's when we see Geats. He also appeared. We hear his voice, stuff like that. He's getting ready to kill them, but we see Zuo's getting ready to kill them. But that's when we see Geats. His voice comes up, and he ends up knocking out. Zuo, and Geats appears there on his bike, in his Magnum boost form, which is his regular form. He ends up and he ends up fighting Zuo for a while. He ends up actually beating Zuo in his regular base form, and he ends up saying that he had to become a deity. When he died, he essentially became a full-on god now, and now that he's a full-on god, he has the power to do whatever the duck he wants to do. So he ends up giving everyone back their drivers. When he gives everyone back their drivers, they say that we all share the same we all share the same dream, we all share the same wish. And they go in and just start whooping on freaking Zuo. They're whooping on him 3v1. They beat him up a little bit, and then that's when Geats walks up in his Geats 9 form, in his ultimate form, and he ends up rider kicking Zuo and ends up defeating Zuo. After he ends up defeating Zuo, we see that Zuo's when the smoke clears after the rider kick and everything's like that, Zuo's still standing there. He's still freaking standing there, but Geats is gone. And he's still standing there, making them think that, oh man, did Geats lose? But we see that Zuo tries to go and attack them again, but he's back in he's not in his rider form anymore. He's like in his cloaked form, his cloaked regular state. And also we never got to see what Zuo's face looks like. I mean, maybe he don't need one. He's like a 4D. He's a 4D dimensional creature. But yeah. So he tries to go and attack them, but his body starts to fade away, and he's like, "What's going on?" And then Geats' voice echoes on the wind, and he says that, "Hey, you have been destroyed." And Zuo's like, "What? What are you talking about?" And then his mask breaks. When his mask breaks, he takes off the hood, and Geats is in his Zuo's outfit. And everybody's like, "What the duck?" So after that, Geats ends up saying that, "Hey, let it begin." His outfit changes back to like his suit with the red and white scarves, and he changes, and he ends up talking. He ends up he ends up like reshaping and changing the world. We see that everybody's seeing it. Everybody's seeing what's going on. So that Black Sumidi is with Samas and Gidori. And Gidori says that, hey, it's time for, like, you say, you're no longer getting your way and things like that. We see that the 4D gate for them to go back to their future also has been, shut. So now everything gets remade. Everything is remade. We see Win and Daichi with the Jamatos, and they're still fighting the other Game Master dudes. All the Game Master dudes end up fading away. And Win is like, he literally says, "Geats, that bastard, he did it." And the world ends up being remade, and we see our other three writers. They end up talking with Geats, and he ends up basically saying goodbye to them. He says, "It's better off that you all forget about me." And they're like, "Nah, we don't want to do that," stuff like that. But he ends up leaving. He ends up doing the fox symbol on his hand, and he leaves. And then after that, we see how everybody's doing. We see that Sumidi goes back to, we're back to where we were beginning with Sumidi talking at Geats' shrine. We see that she's still over there talking with Jin, and we see all these different wishes that have been put all around like near Geats' shrine. And we see everybody's wishes. We see that Neon is back to doing her content creation stuff, and her cameraman is Kyun. Her cameraman is Kyun, and they basically have like a relationship now. We see that Sarah has now gotten a job, but her wish was that she would have every day at work is a peaceful day. We see that Buffa he's back at his old job, but he's more friendly now, and he's actually seen, hanging out with all of his coworkers and stuff like that, eating with them. Then we see Tycoon, Kewa, who is, I guess he's studying, because he has a lot of books and things like that. And we still see that he has his ID core. So I'm thinking that Kewa probably still remembers everything, even though he still has his ID core. Everybody else, I kind of feel like everybody else also still remembers everything, but we didn't see that they had their ID cores. So maybe it's just Kewa. That remembers everything, or maybe not. But after that, we see that we see Sumidi is still talking with Jin. Jin basically says that, hey, there's a new DGP that we're basically they're creating, but it's gonna be a DGP that supports people in their dreams without putting them in danger and things like that. Also, Daichi, his wish is now he's taking care of all the Jamato, and basically the whole like Jamato having flowers on their head thing is now actually going to become a thing now, where all Jamato are going to have flowers on their heads, and he's taking care of them. And his wish was that for people in Jamato to live at peace with each other. And that's pretty cool. We see that Win is also back with his band, basically showing that he's back with his band now. So he's back, rocking out. And so Jin asks Sumidi, would she like to become a navigator again for the new DGP? And she says yes. And she ends up looking at all the wishes, wishing that everybody gets what they want. And that's when Geats himself appears with the wishes, and he says that, hey, Your wishes will always come true as long as you continue to desire them, as long as you continue to want them. And he ends up leaving, and while he's leaving, he sees this kid running in front of him, and this kid runs past him, and this kid, he's chasing after the hopper card, and we see that this is Gachard, and he's chasing after the hopper, card or whatever. And you see that the card can talk, and it's I guess this card is gonna be like a prankster, and basically I guess it kind of acts like a Pokemon, like the way it's speaking and things. Like, it's kind of like a little young mischievous little Pokemon that's running from his trainer. That's how it felt. That's how I kind of felt when it happened. But we're gonna get there, because Gachar is gonna start pretty freaking soon. And then Geats sees him and says that, hey, and he's like, he doesn't talk to him directly, but he says, hey, may you find happiness. And that's the end. That's it. That's what happens, man. But wow, it has been a ride, and this episode was just straightforward. Everybody get what they want. Everybody's happy ending for everybody. Beautiful. And yeah, it wasn't that much. The fights in this episode were freaking awesome. Seeing all three of our riders actually beat the snot out of Zuel, and also seeing Geats as he come in, has some amazing shots of him actually taking out Zuel. And yeah, man, also with Geats recreating the world, did he, when he created this world, you guys can let me know in the comment section below, but do you guys think that by him creating this new world created Gachard? Maybe. I'm thinking that. I mean, him creating this whole new world probably created Gachard. But yeah, man, I was thinking that this was gonna happen, like Gachard was gonna come in and fight some stuff in the background and things like that. We weren't gonna see him. But usually stuff like that happens in movies. Like Geats appeared for the first time in a Kamen Rider Revice movie, so, and revised it, and they didn't even see him, just Ikki's parents saw him. But yeah, so I think so far the next Geats review or next Geats video will probably most likely be on the movie, and we're gonna get the black Geats. But yeah, man, this episode was great. It felt kind of rushed. Kind of, I don't know, like a little piece of me feels like it was rushed to a degree, but I feel like not everything was like kind of resolved. I feel that's how I feel about it. I feel like not a lot. No, a lot of stuff's been resolved, but yeah, like now that Geats is a whole freaking god now, but then he didn't really super put in detail and explain like how he came back. I mean, because when he appeared when they were fighting Zuel, he really was not there. He said to himself, like, he's like, I'm here, but I'm like not here. Like I'm here. I'm not here in a physical sense, but I'm here like in a spiritual sense. Like, because majority of the fighting was done by Keiwa and Keiwa, Buffa, and Neon, and Geats got the last hit in and stuff like that while he was in Geats 9. But other than that, he wasn't fighting that much in that fight. Like he fought him in his base form, and then he fought him in Geats 9 and stuff like that. But other than that, he didn't do a lot of fighting. But and him also like taking over Zuel's body, and Zuel just like not really getting a chance to say anything or whatever. Like I kind of felt like Zuel like as soon as the mask like broke, like Zuel was gone. And I kind of wanted to see what Zuel kind of looked like. I feel like Zuel would look like Jit. I kind of wanted Jit to come back for maybe this episode or something like that. I wanted Jit to come back because he was a cool guy. He was a cool character. I did like Jit. He was a aggressive, mean MF, but he was cool. I mean, I liked him. He was like one of my favorite evil. Like him as Kamen Rider Regard was, I felt was kind of cooler. Regard as Zuel, he just got an eyeball, But other than that, it was cool. I mean, I felt like Regard should have been a little bit stronger, considering like all the abilities that he had. But then like at the same time, Geats was a whole god. like, I mean, God, like he could like creating a whole world, God, like he was that. But I feel like Regard should have been a little bit stronger. Like the whole like moving things with his mind ability, the reverse ability, like it didn't work on Geats, like, but at the same time it worked on them. And I feel like Regard should have been a little bit stronger, or I feel like that fight should have lasted a little bit longer. Like maybe at least a phase 2. Well, Geats coming in probably would end up being like a phase 2. Probably would have been like one of those RPG bosses to where like you fight them and then you get them to like a certain health, and then that another person comes in and helps you fight. Like you get a cutscene, and then somebody else comes in and helps you fight them, and then that's when you beat them. Like, that's cool. But other than that, I'm rambling. I really, really loved Kamen Rider Geats. It had its ups, it had its downs, and it went back on some of the things it established, retconned some stuff to a degree. But overall, like, I really, really enjoyed Kamen Rider Geats, and I saying that especially because you finally gave us a main character, a Fox main character writer who was a badass. Like he wasn't like an annoying character. He was just a smart guy who was a badass. He rarely made mistakes or anything like that. Like he was always cunning, and he was everything that personifies like the fox motif, and I really love that. And foxes are my number one favorite animal, white foxes especially. So it's like, yeah, man, like you gave me a white fox Kamen Rider who was a badass, and I loved it. I would love for Geats to meet Decade. That conversation itself would be awesome. But with that being said, guys, you guys let me know down in the comment section below what you guys think about this episode. What you guys think about the entire Geats season as a whole. Let me know, and I'm gonna see you guys next time. And make sure to hit that like, share, subscribe, and remember, as I always say, stay henshined.